Hello YouTubers, Ghost here. Got a quick review for you on the CRKT Hammond Cruiser knife. Now this knife is a collaboration between Jim Hammond and CRKT, of course. And Jim Hammond designed the Seal Tack, which quite frankly I hadn't heard of until I looked him up. But he's got some really nice stuff on his website, so if you want, go check that out, Anyway, let's start out with the basics. This is a Linerlock folder with a flipper that's got some jimping on it. Nice jimping, actually. And it's also got a thumb stud deployment system, which I'm having some trouble with here. There we go. Dig my thumb in there. It's also got some jimping on the thumb ramp here. Kind of like small thumb ramp. It's alright, but it could use a little work. Now the flipper is what I use most often, and it works pretty well. It comes out nice and with some authority. Now this is an AUS 6 blade, which is basically AUS 8, but it is a slightly softer steel, it's not as high quality as AUS 8. Now that blade is, well, your cutting surface is about 4 inches long, and your handle is just shy of 5.5. This handle is made of Zytel, which is essentially a hard plastic. Now, these holes here, I'm assuming are, for aesthetic purposes, style, or maybe for lightening the knife, but this knife is definitely not light. If you've ever held one of these, you know what I mean. But if you're more for beefy, fixed blade feeling knives, then this is probably for you. Now, this knife comes set up for right side tip down carry, but it can also be positioned for a tip up carry, and also tip up and tip down, or tip down and tip up on the left side as well. So lefties, you may like this. Now, as with a lot of CRKT's newer knives, you have the lock system, which is manually engaged right here next to the thumb ramp, which is a nice convenient place to put it. Now when you engage the auto locks, or the locks, I'm sorry, it puts this little piece of steel in there between the handle and the liner, if you can see that there, and you literally physically cannot move the liner out of the way. So it's kind of a way to prevent the knife from slipping and, clipping or cutting your fingers, which would be pretty bad. So, to disengage it, you just move it back, close the liner. And let's see, deployment speed, it's fairly good if you use the flipper. It's got some weight. It's a pretty big blade, so you can just throw that weight forward, and, if you can't get it just with the flipper, which I can do, but that takes a little practice, then just use a little wrist action, and that big blade will pretty much take it out for you. Now, let's see, what haven't I covered? I think that's just about it. Now, if I was going to rate this knife between, say, 1 and 10, I'd give it probably a 6, simply because and I forgot to mention this, the Zytel handles, the traction is kind of medium light, although they do have a nice big finger choil, small arch choil, and a pinky ramp there. The traction is kind of light, although, I'll go back and give it points. If you sit in here and you grip this knife, it almost kind of grabs you back. It's got a good lock-in, good traction plan, kind of, but I'd say they need to work on this. Secondly, this is an AUS 6 blade, and I'd prefer AUS 8, although they do have another version of this with AUS 8, although that had the tan handles, and I wanted black handles, whatever. So, overall, it's a good knife for the buy. It's about 20 to 30 bucks, or at least when I bought it about a year ago on eBay. It's been discontinued by CRKT, so if you can find it out there, it'd probably be on eBay or something like that. Anyway, this has been my review of the CRKT Hammond Cruiser. Y'all have a nice day. Peace.